Welcome to Sports Scope, the most influential sports talk show in the nation.
What is today, the 19th?
Stay tuned for updates and great sports content.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sports Scope. I'm the real Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler. On this 15th day of August, we are just about 2 weeks to the exact from the college football Labor Day weekend games. Next, the 24th, actually. Next week, we'll actually start week 0. Florida State plays. And then after that, you have the Labor Day weekend games. Got the Mad New Yorker backstage. Going to get his thoughts on these week 1 preseason games. We're going to ask him about this. And the AP poll's not too far off from the college poll here. Get his thoughts on the Jets. Still haven't signed Hassan Reddick. J.J. McCarthy, we all know about that story. He's went down. Get a few thoughts on the Olympics and whatnot and more. Let's take our first and only break, and I'll be back here with the Mad New Yorker and a few short announcements here on the Real Sports Scope. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to sports, that is sports with an S, another S, scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program.
I'm Mac, CEO of National Streaming Sports and host of the Mac and Jack Sports Show. You're watching the sharp-dressed man and the big story breaker, Robert Butler, on Sports Scope, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern on National Streaming Sports. To get the National Streaming Sports channel on your Roku TV, channel search National Streaming Sports. There's the channel search in Roku. There's our logo right on the right, NESSP. Tap on the logo, and it will add to your TV, the channel to your TV. On your laptop, tablet, and mobile phone, download the free Roku app and channel search just like above. If you don't have Roku TV, you have to order a Roku device from the Roku store, hook it up to your smart TV, and bang, you have Roku TV. Again, channel search, National Streaming Sports, click on our NESSP logo, and add the channel.
All righty then. Want to thank there Mac and for the good endorsement there. Him and Linda, they're great there at the National Streaming Sports. And I see Carlos back there. Looks like you might be in Tennessee. Looks like you're getting a little hot there.
Yeah, man. No, I'd like to say hi to everybody. Hope everybody enjoyed the Olympics and the games that have been going on. Yeah, I'm here in the South. I just got out of the pool with the kiddos and had some reaction to it. So.
Wow.
I'm down here. Don't worry. I'm we're doing our thing here and just enjoying
in the
time.
South Side. Yes, I wear this jacket and stuff, and I know it's 150 degrees outside, so I have to turn my air down to
it's like 175, man.
You know what? It wasn't that bad last week, but the week before last was like Mercury. I mean, it was just the week of August 5th, man. It was really, really bad. My light bill's going to be pretty high. You know what? We could start there with the Olympics. The basketball games, I mean, like Mad Dog Russo said, they were double-digit favorites in every game.
Right.
But they didn't keep it dramatic. What's your thoughts on the men's overall performance and whatnot? And the world seems to be caught up.
Yeah, so there's parities coming. It's almost there for some teams. Other teams, you can see that they're lacking some some more support in some of the positions, but they still do have one or two superstars on their team. So it's the parity's coming, and it's almost here. And the thing, what the U.S. needs to be like aware of is that with that situation, and I appreciate those players that finished out their last Olympic, situation, LeBron, Curry, and Durant, and maybe a couple other guys. Who knows? But if they choose not to come back, but like it's time to start getting younger again, right? So, and it was good for those guys to get their their gold medal and they're participating in the games. But it doesn't mean, and I think this is something that we kind of have to be real about. These guys are older, and it's starting to show. And just
they're gonna have to get some younger cats in there, right, and get them coached up.
Yeah, and just like,
did Curry not win MVP? Did LeBron win MVP?
I didn't watch the last game. I watched the Serbian game, and I was kind of like, I was scared like everybody else. But I don't know. I watched a little bit of the last game, but I didn't get to watch a lot of it because I was in transition of getting stuff ready for coming down here to visit. So,
anything else stand out for you about the Olympics? Simone Biles, I mean, she
did her thing.
Redeemed herself.
Yeah, and she's also, you could tell that, and that's going to be her last Olympics. That being age-wise, and it's not to be an ageist, but at the end of the day, a lot of these other countries were putting in 14, 15-year-olds. That. So you give them a chance, give them an opportunity. Let them know what it's like to be at those games, because maybe that's the only opportunity they have. Here in the United States, they have the advantage of having professional leagues and some of these athletes being able to participate in them, and they don't have that in other countries. So, we do have an advantage. Plus, we have collegiate level games that also allow players to do their training and then do Olympics as well. So, those things are things that we've had an advantage of for a long time, and be able to compete with like Russia and China, and we've always were neck and neck with them, but now the rest of the world is catching up with us.
30 medals beat China, 25, 30 medals this time. America came out great.
Right.
Overall, Ceballos, I'm curious what she's going to do next. I've been following the Hard Knocks. Jonathan Owens, her husband, plays for the Bears.
Right.
Now, I wouldn't have let him go over there. He's in the middle of a serious training camp. I think he should have watched it on TV. But that's just me. I'm a hard-nosed guy.
He's not missing much. And if he's going to make the team.
Oh, God. You're going to
look, if you at the end of the day,
you're killing me, Smalls. You're killing me.
These guys, if he's in the range of being a superstar, all-star, then fine. But if he's going to be trying to compete for position, that's something he has to choose to do at the end of the day. There's nothing ever going to happen that's going to be bigger than what he's going to watch somebody else accomplish that he loves. And, so, he made a choice. And he, now he got to deal with it. So, but at the end of the day,
the Bears, it was good publicity. That's why they let it ride. It was really good publicity for the organization. I wouldn't have did it, but that's just me. I would have told him, hey, look, man, we have an obligation. I'm sorry. The training camp is training camp. It's your job, In fact, if I let you go over there, then I got to let somebody else go do something, see their wife perform or kid. I mean, it's just
I would do it like this, because everybody, and it doesn't have to be just like the Olympics. It could be like a family thing or something. Like, where you're at, and where you stand amongst the people you have to compete with for that position. If you have to take the break, take the break. But just know that you're starting from the bottom, and you're going to have to work your way to the top. And if you don't make it, and that's something that held you back, that's on you. You're a grown man.
That's true. Now, if it's Ed Reed, maybe I'm reconsider. If it's Ray Lewis, maybe I reconsider. But I really wouldn't want to do that.
Robert, the problem with football, and the way I see it, it takes them 10 weeks to get into a playing mode to be okay or at an all-star level anyway.
More reason he needs to be there.
But that's a personal choice. It's a personal situation. Yeah. And if he's not on the team, and that's one of the reasons why. That's a consequence, right? I mean,
that's true.
He's not, and if he's not on the field, he ain't getting that paycheck that he thinks he's going to get anyway. So at the end of the day, it's a win-win for the team because they ain't got to worry about it. People want to make those decisions to go, to Egypt, to go to Olympics, to go, go visit grandma from her last few days that she has in her lifespan. Fine, do it. But if you're not on that field as a number 1 or 2, and that's what your contract says, you're not going to get that paycheck. So don't be upset.
Yeah.
Right? That's the way I look at it.
Like, switching gears here, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but
but one more thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Being a New Yorker, and I wasn't like born and raised in New York, but still, that's part of me. And seeing what a mockery of what been happening with the breakdancing competition, I think it's a sad thing, and I don't know what they're gonna end up canceling it out of the Olympics or not. But
I can't believe they had it as Olympic. I didn't even know that, but I heard about it early this week.
Yeah, and I've seen little Asian kids from Korea and Japan and kids like from Spain break dance better than this woman who came out and tried to rep her country in Australia. And I don't even think it was fair for Australia to have that woman even be there, to be honest with you. And I'm just gonna leave it at that because it's just.
I was gonna ask you about the boxing thing. Now you got a daughter and a son, right?
Right.
Yeah. Did you hear that story about the Algerian boxer, the biological man?
No. So the story got messed up on the internet. That was she was born female. She has had hormone issues, and be it as it may, if she gets tested, she's a woman from the get. I'm not sure myself personally. I'm not sure, and I don't know if she was trying to transition to be a man. I don't know how all that works out, but she got to fight in a woman category because she was born a female.
Had the chromosome or whatever.
Yeah, that's how I
interpret
it. I kind of understood it after looking at all that stuff because I'm like, they ain't gonna let a transgender man.
It doesn't look like a woman. It looks like a man to me, and from my understanding,
Robert, we can't go on looks. Nowadays, we can't go on looks. You go to Bangkok for a weekend.
Man. You know something.
You might be able. You might be confused and running around.
Would you? Let me ask you this: as a father, my thing is now I don't have kids, but you got a little girl. If you see one of these guys like the Leah Thomas, the guy that just was 19 years of a swimmer, and now he wants to become a female swimmer, or I don't know if you've seen the videos of guys that are like 6'2", 6'3", playing with a bunch of 5'6" women, claiming he's a woman. Would you risk your daughter getting injured like that, or just say, I'm just not going to let that kind of injury happen, possibility of an injury happen with my daughter? What's your thoughts on that?
The first and foremost, once you step on a field, court, rink, whatever it is, there's a liability situation, and that's something that you got to take in from the get. Now, when you have to go mano a mano, we're not tall guys, so I used to play basketball, and I used to go.
Well, what if it's an obvious man?
Yeah, but here's the thing, man, and this is what I'm bringing up my kids to do. If you're gonna play the sport, play to the best that you can, and don't worry about nobody else. And if it's tennis or if it's that's different than boxing, right? Because boxing is like actually hand-to-hand combat, right? So, but that's also a choice that they got to make. Like, there's a lot of boxers that go in, right, and thinking there was a lot of dudes thinking that they had an opportunity to beat up Mike Tyson when he was at the peak, and they couldn't even sniff. They couldn't sniff his armpit, for nothing, and they weren't even worth the snuff. So, like that. That's just them at that point. Man versus man. If any situation that my either kid put themselves in and they have to go against, like my son had to go against somebody like like in Rocky or whatever, or my daughter would have to go against them.
And that's a man. What do you just let her
I can't make the decision for my children, because that's something that they would be like to do. The thing is this: the rules are the rules, and they haven't let transgender people in the Olympics yet. From my understanding, it has yet to be allowed. They had
it depends on what outlet you read. That's the problem.
No, it shouldn't depend
I listen to Megyn Kelly, and she gets she said this guy was banned. This Algerian born was banned last year. Now all of a sudden he's got the chromosomes to box this year. I don't see it. It's just I don't want to spend a lot of time on this.
Right.
There's no way
I would just say this.
I would let my daughter do that. And I think more people need to speak out against that, to be honest.
Of course, no.
And Herb Street has, and he's got a big platform. Herb Street with ESPN, he's finally started to speak out against it. I don't know what Stephen A. Smith is doing, but I do think Fox and ESPN, they need to have the panels on this. I mean, you're seeing it in the lower levels, more and more. I didn't think it was a big deal at first, but now it's starting to really elevate, if you ask me.
Yeah, no, the problem with the leagues is that are they going to be biased?
Yeah, Pickle said this last night, trans fight at midnight on show. I would probably watch that, but I don't have Showtime. Maybe I'd watch it on HBO if it was just trans on trans.
And to be honest with you, that would be a safer and I'm not trying to be funny or if that's a situation and that's something that is going to be always a fight or an argument, just make, like you said, a transgender league, LBGT transgender league, make that and play your own sports. But don't bring it in to WNBA and don't bring it into the NBA. Because those are already a struggle. It's a struggle with pay. It's a struggle with viewership.
Yeah, and I've kind of backpedaled on the Caitlin Clark Big Three thing. That's no.
No, I mean, if a woman
at first I thought maybe it's a good idea, but I
know. Well, if a woman is invited to play in a men's league, like that woman who played in the NHL for the Tampa Bay, she was a goalie. Okay. She wasn't there for more than a month. She didn't play like 20 games. She played maybe.
But if it's a man and the women are intimidated by that I don't know.
I'm just saying, like,
the bone structures are different, man.
Look, it's too much now to be. There's too many different situations going on. They should stick with what you know. Like if you're like if I'm managing the NBA, I stick with what I know. We have WNBA and we have NBA. Those rules are the rules. You either go to one or you go to the other. If you're stuck in the middle and you don't know what you are, or you're trying to change into another, then you can't play in either league because you don't fall into that criteria. If you feel like that's being like you're being ostracized or you're being
in the lower leagues, Chad, my niece did play against some guys in softball once. I mean, that has happened when they're really young.
I mean, like that
when they're
girl,
teens and big, and that's out of it gets crazy.
Like that one girl who was the pitcher for the major for the little league, the girl who did very awesome about I think it was like 8 years ago now, 10 years ago. She pitched for the little league and they allowed her to do that. It was understood, and so that they accepted that. But those are different situations than that was a little girl, and they don't have little at that point they didn't have that baseball for women.
Yeah.
Now they do. And I can't stand when people are like, well, they got softball. Softball and baseball are two different sports. So it's like, and if the girl wants to play baseball,
a lot quicker.
If they want to play baseball, then they got to, figure out a way to start that up, But and they do have women's baseball leagues, but they're not everywhere. So,
Yeah, that's true. Let me ask you this: since you're out of New York, what's the buzz about this Hassan Reddick, man? I mean, the Jets. It's hard for me to keep making excuses for the Jets.
No. Don't make. So the Jets fumbled this up. The GM and the ownership, they should have just stuck with the guns when they made the trade and paid him at the gate.
Yes, that's what I think.
Has nothing to do with Hassan Reddick, what he wants, from the get. When you get a player like that, you know what he's worth, you know what he wants, you know what the agent is asking for. There's no like, oh, we didn't know, or there's nothing that's not been revealed when you come to those kind of deals. During a trade, the Jets traded for him to pay him to be on the team. And then they're going to go back and be like, well, we don't think that we can pay him that. That's on the GM and ownership. It has nothing to do with the coach. And this is something that I dislike about how the Giants and the Jets manage players anyways. So There's no mix up, there's no mashup. Everybody knows contractual agreements and how they work, and this is like a Jerry Jones situation where I'm hoping he might take what I give him, and I'm hoping he might show up.
See, I'm not even bringing up the CeeDee Lamb. I know Jones is going to fold at the end. I almost guarantee you he's going to fold like a cheap soup on CeeDee Lamb.
Look, these are situations that these GMs have poorly managed, and they make the team look wrong when it's not the team's fault. It's them and the ownership not coming through with what they say they were going to do to begin with. So that there's no argument. There's no, they shouldn't have tried to pick him up on the trade anyway, knowing that this guy was always going to look for a big ticket contract, right?
Yeah.
He's been on almost 5 different teams now. So they knew that he's a paid killer, right? He's a paid assassin. That's what he does.
Yeah. He's the guy that put out Purdy in the NFC Championship game a few years ago.
Right.
And I think it was a good move, but you got to have them, like you said, you got to have that set. You cannot make that trade unless you have that already agreed upon in principle. This happens a lot in the NFL where as soon as the players trade, like for example, the Titans when they traded for L'Jarius Sneed from Kansas City, the guy already had the extension lined up and set up as soon as he signed the paperwork to come over with the Titans. He's also, got the extension there. My take the other day about this was the Joe Douglas. Yeah, he had the Rookie of the Year offensive defense with Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson, but he's also responsible for Zach Wilson and Micaiah Becton, who's also that's the left tackle that failed. He's no longer on the team. I don't know how much say he had in Robert Saleh being hired. It looks like Douglas is really dropping the ball, and Woodson, he might hit the reset button again on Joe Douglas as well as Robert Saleh towards the end of the season, the way things look right now.
I know what it's like. I'm here. I hear it all the time. All these dramatic and these upswings.
Yeah, Pickle's not a big fan of Woody Johnson.
I'm gonna tell you straight up. I don't feel like the Jets are gonna win more than 7 games. The same thing with the Giants, and I've been saying it.
Yeah,
I keep saying it.
Well, you love to take a shot at the Giants, even though we ain't talking.
I don't. Listen, I want to root for those teams. I want to enjoy watching football. I want to enjoy a championship run. I feel like I'm not gonna get that the way the thing. On paper, you could tell me who's got great stats and that, but we don't play the game on paper. And at the end of the day, don't sell me on $400 tickets, right? And I go there.
Oh, there's no way I would pay that to go to the Meadowlands to see either one of those. My dad used to say I wouldn't pay that to see him play in my backyard. I mean, there's no way.
No, and I say 400, and people are like, well, you don't have to buy a $400 ticket. Yeah, but if I want to enjoy and watch the game like at a level that is where the perception of the game where you could enjoy it, it's an average of $400, right? Because I'm not gonna go to spend a whole 6-hour trip to go to a football game
up there and you catch
and be up there with the pigeons, and not being able to see.
Just watch it on TV, man.
Yeah, for that you just watch it on TV. So
you got a better deal with those Mets tickets, I think. I thought the Yankees and the Mets were good deals when I was living up there. Hey, let me ask you, man. The Titans played the 49ers, and I'm not one of these pom-pom guys. There's not a lot I had to complain about. They looked about the way I thought they should look last week. They've had a really good practice this week. Callahan, he's not even going to play the starters against Seattle. Of course, they've been fighting it out with Seattle with scrimmages all week anyways. What's your thoughts on the Titans' first game? New coach, everything, a lot of new players with the Titans.
I think it's the thing about some of these teams outside of New York is that the things that you hear about them sometimes are very consistent, right? But then even with the consistency comes a lot of high hope because they're like, oh, well, they're doing this and the quarterback's doing this and the wide receiver crew is actually looking good. And, running backs, we didn't think that we were up there, in the top 10 with running backs, but our running backs are looking good. So like all that, like you're getting excited because football's about to start up, and it's a different vibe when you're outside of New York. I think the Titans are going to be okay. I think they might be in a 9-win kind of, 9 and above. I wouldn't put them over 11, but they could get 11. They could sneak in 2 wins. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's all depends on how the Texans in Jacksonville, how they play them. Because I still feel that they'll split the series for the Texans and Jags. Like the way I'm looking at it. So I don't think that the Jags can beat them 2-0 in a season, and I don't think that the Texans can beat the Titans 2-0 in a season.
Did you get a chance to see any of the highlights of that game, or?
I saw a little bit of it, and I'm not. Look, like I would.
It's hard to see preseason when you're not in the state.
Right. I would call Tennessee my third team because the 2 teams here in New York are terrible. But Tennessee sometimes ends the season terrible. But I like football, period, and I want to see good football. And if they play good football, I'll enjoy it. The same thing with the Jets and the Giants. If they'll play good football, I'll enjoy it. But if they're not, and it's just this 12-14 game, man, leave that stuff for like Division III NFL, the Division III NCAA football. Nobody wants to see that junk, because that's not the kind of players you paying for. So,
but the idea of Callahan playing his second string guys, he must have been really impressed. Between, I watched the offensive line, man, and you could already tell Bill Callahan, the dad's teaching.
It's making an effect. Yes.
They're already, my dad used to use pancake blocking people.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm
even if it is just backups.
I will agree with you on what's been coming out of camp and what they're doing there with the O-line. And I was kind of like, what he's gonna, try to bring his dad in to do stuff, but he did it. It's working for them. It's gonna change the perception of what this team has to offer against defenses have to go against, and that's a good thing, right? If you're a Tennessee fan, you just be happy and not the Jets and the Giants. How about that? And I keep telling people, I always tell people that. Titans fans, I'll be like, y'all got an opportunity to go into the playoffs. Just let the team, try to do their thing, and just be happy.
Yeah. Well, over in Minnesota, J.J. McCarthy, he's hurt for the year. Is that a blessing in disguise for him to sit a year under O'Connell, the head coach there, and kind of learn? I know that this is an opportunity for Sam Darnold to resurrect his career, but we've seen the stats on guys like Mahomes sitting a year, the 2 Green Bay quarterbacks, for Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love. I don't know, man. Sitting a year and watching, it just I like that,
I'm going to ask you,
it's because he got hurt, but still.
Right. What was your opinion on him anyway? Who would you compare him to, like, on the NFL level?
I don't see how you couldn't not compare him to, like, a Kirk Cousins, a guy that they just let walk away. He's a little more athletic than Cousins, but everything I hear, O'Connell saying he's having a great camp. He did have a good game the other night.
Yeah, he had a good game. But
it was very positive. Meniscus in his knee. I mean, but other than that,
dang,
he seems to be ahead, mentally, but still.
Kirk Cousins, but with legs.
Yeah,
I don't think he's that accurate with the football, throwing the football to me.
Wow,
I don't.
But you just think maybe Harbaugh's line was so good. Why throw it when you can run it?
I think Harbaugh wanted to do that whether he understood who he had anyways. He just wanted to control the clock and make sure he didn't get beat by Ohio State. Like he wasn't.
Yeah, that's the way I think.
And I feel like his O-line was so stout that even a guy like Corum looked a little bit better than
the running back,
than what he is. Mm-hmm. And in fact, if that wasn't the case, why didn't Corum get drafted at higher, right? So for me, I think that at Michigan, he was surrounded with a lot of talented wide receivers. And what I mean by that was they didn't have just one guy. They had a bunch of tall guys that had skills that could do different things that will allow him, if he had the opportunity to throw the ball, to make sure that plays got done. Same thing with the tight end and his running back. So I don't feel like he was a high-rated quarterback, even though He got
right
high.
But I'm looking at the way the team is talking about him and the way he's fitting in this system in the NFL. And this guy Connell's pretty good coach, man.
Yeah, I know, but saying that, he's no got a bum knee, going to resurrect his career and turn out to be Tom Brady. So I think that it's a blessing in disguise, like you said, because he gets to learn.
In the sit, it takes the heat off of him.
Yeah, he don't have any pressure now. The only pressure he has now is that when he comes back next year, he's gonna have to be way better than what he was in college and better than any first-year quarterback. So, other than that, that's the way it is in the NFL anyway. But I've never saw him as a high pick quarterback. He might be one of those guys that kind of got like the Darnold treatment, who got picked higher than he should have, or even this guy Wilson that they picked, the Jets picked up. So, if you're a Michigan fan and you glad he got, and he's playing for the Vikings and you like that, fine, that's on you. But I don't, rating wise, I think he kind of lucked out. But right now, even if he came back and he played okay, I think I'd be like, I expected okay from him. You know what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying?
Well, he's picked in the middle of the round. I didn't expect him to be all world when he was drafted.
Right. And so,
I like Penix better, but I'm just looking at the kind of camp he's had. There's a lot of guys that's had good camps, and we thought it was just good camp and nothing else, and they end up turning out to be good players and beating out the starters. For example, Russell Wilson, when Matt Flynn we're talking 10, 12 years ago with Seattle.
Right.
Dak Prescott. This is a 4th round pick, and he's looking as good or better than Romo, who was battling injury at the time. We know what happened there. He got the job.
Right.
So it kind of leads me to this Bo Nix hype that he's playing really well. Mark Schlereth, Denver guy who never pulls punches. And, we've talked about Bo Nix before. He's been a guy I didn't think he'd ever get drafted. And he's worked his way up into a first-round situation. His dad's a coach. He's kind of an overachiever, kind of like Jalen Hurts a little bit because his dad's a coach. What do you think about this Bo Nix hype that Schlereth is saying he's practically flawless in camp?
I would say this, and I don't want to belittle what Bo Nix is doing, but he's an older player. He's been to 2 top-rated programs. If he doesn't play well, if he hasn't played well at all, or he's not doing well, no matter where he's been picked in the draft, he shouldn't be on any football team.
That's true. He's got 60 starts in college.
With the experience that he's had and coming back from injuries and going from from the SEC to Pac-12, if you can't do well in a camp and you're older than half the guys that you got picked with anyways, you shouldn't be on the field. That's right.
You think he's going to start week 1?
If he doesn't start week 1, I'll be surprised. Then I only say that
they got Zach Wilson. I know you're a big Zach Wilson fan.
Yeah, if he doesn't, the only reason I'll be surprised, has nothing to do with Zach Wilson. It has to do more with Bo Nix and you're ready.
Yeah, 60. Bo Nix.
You should be
ready.
He's
an interesting story, man.
I don't think it's interesting
that's 5
at all,
years
Robert.
starter. He's like 25 years old, man.
Yeah, I just think he right place, right time. And
yes.
Show your skills, show your ability. If not, go somewhere else or go be a backup. Go to Canada. We already know who you are.
He's 24. Okay, all right. He's not as old as I thought. But still, Penix is 25 too.
Well, no, it's not just the age. It's what he was, how he established himself coming out in college. Then he got injured. He played a season. Then he moved to Oregon. Right.
Yeah.
And then he did okay there. He wasn't super great, but he did okay. Right. He was good. Right. And then now he's older and the transition shouldn't be the wide gap like some of these kids who are 19, 20 and got 30 starts, combination 30. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not a huge Bo Nix guy, but I will say this in his defense, Montana did not have the strongest arm. Montana was not that tall. Montana was a 2nd-round pick out of Notre Dame. He turned out to be Montana, but he got with the right system at the right time with the Bill Walsh offense.
Right.
Bo
well
Nix
said,
would
yeah.
work with a lot of. He wouldn't work in Pittsburgh.
That's another thing. Like
Yeah, Pickles. Carl Larson did sign with Dallas. They got another edge rusher. Oh no, it's Rudy Oj. I'm sorry, Rudy. Yeah, Dallas. They got Carl Larson. Now Dallas, you got to get CeeDee Lamb and Micah signed.
I mean, I just look with Bo Nix is he's in the perfect opportunity, has a perfect situation, and if he doesn't take care of it with whatever experience he's had in the past, because I'm not saying that NCAA football is a perfect transition to go to an NFL quarterback, but what I am saying is this guy's been to two of the best schools that offer you the opportunity to learn NFL football systems. If you can't get on the field and you're not good or up to snuff, then you shouldn't be on an NFL field, right? Like go and if you want to make it to the NFL field, go to Canada or do
followed
something else.
Theismann. Yeah, Theismann was more of a prototypical quarterback at Notre Dame. He had more of the prototypical height and everything, and Montana was more of a shorter player. We know who's better player in Montana. I mean,
I think
system is a big deal for you. It tells you how valuable coaching and systems are.
Joe Theismann had an opportunity, and that was wrecked by Lawrence Taylor.
Well, he did win a Super Bowl prior to that, though.
There's no way, or
I don't know if it had been as good as Montana, though. I mean, Montana's already done projected.
We don't even know. We don't know.
He did play under Joe Gibbs, who won 3 Super Bowls with 3 quarterbacks. So you could possibly make that argument.
We don't know. Unfortunately for him, because
I mean it's a rough sport. I'm happy for Bo Nix. I don't know what to expect out of Bo Nix. I do think he's going to probably start week 1, and it's his job to lose with Stidham and Zach Wilson.
Yes, I agree with that. Let's leave it. Yeah, we could leave that at that. Yeah,
it's an interesting story, man. I kind of thought it was going to work out that way.
You think it's interesting? I mean, I feel like he was going to get drafted to a team that was going to play him regardless. Like, I think.
The first round pick. I didn't think he was going to get drafted 2 years ago. He's a what do you call a success story? I mean, he's.
I just think he's the never give up kind of guy. Kurt Warner.
Yeah, he's like a real life kind of Rudy.
Yeah. Like giving him an opportunity and just go with it and try to win his position. But here's my thing, and this is what bothers me. It's like, and it's not it has nothing to do with me, but at the end of the day, like these guys, the quarterbacks in the NFL, and it's like we made it. Like, no, man, don't just be like we made it. Go out there and go out and try to get to the playoffs. Try to be a Super Bowl winning quarterback. Which is why, and I'm gonna just say this real quick, Eli is a Hall of Fame quarterback. Because
he's not or is
what like
is.
Yeah, he's gonna be a Hall of Fame. Like,
okay, I think he is going to be too. Yeah,
that's why, because he didn't just be like, yeah, I'm a Manning, I made to NFL, whatever. He went out there and was like, even when he wasn't the best quarterback in his division, even when he wasn't the best quarterback that year, even when he did play, he played his hardest and he tried to win. And that's all I ask for any player in any position,
Yeah, that's true, man. Yeah, okay. We were talking last week about the coaches poll.
Oh, yeah.
Now the AP poll has come out. I sent you the text the other day.
Oh, man. I thought you sent me the same picture, man. I thought it was the same picture twice.
It was not right. I mean, I think there's only I think LSU is a little higher in the AP poll, if I'm not mistaken. LSU is 12.
Which I mentioned,
remember? Coaches, and they're 13 in the AP. I mean, I tells you, man. Yeah, Kirk Cousins made the best of his. Chad said, let me say this. Before we go to that AP poll, Cousins is going to play with Atlanta. Atlanta signed Justin Simmons today, the safety out of Denver, 4-time Pro Bowler. Yesterday, they traded for Matthew Judon, a big-time edge rusher from the Patriots. I'm really leaning towards now picking that Kirk Cousins-led team to win that division, the NFC South. That's not saying a lot. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, but their defense just got a whole lot better in 24 hours.
Yeah, and I'm waiting to see what Tampa Bay does after the preseason. If they pick
you're
up
a
any
big
more
Tampa.
players.
You was Tampa last year. I have to give you credit for that.
Yeah, and because I not for nothing, but I can see Tampa Bay winning their divisional series
Again?
Against the Saints and against the Falcons. I feel like the Falcons and the Saints will probably just be like in playing mode, and Tampa Bay will be in winning mode. And that's the two, and I'll tell you why. Two reasons. Their coach and how he's setting up the defenses, and Baker Mayfield. And I know people don't like Baker.
Well, you
Baker,
love that head coach, don't you?
But yeah, he's always been.
Canals, their offensive coordinator, is now the head coach of Carolina. You don't think Mayfield may drop down a bit with the new OC?
I think that Baker Mayfield is going to be Baker Mayfield, and I feel like
which is inconsistent.
Yeah, no, people keep saying that, but he's won a lot more in his tenure than 3 of the quarterbacks that the Jets have picked in the first round in the top 5. So I can't say he's been, I got no argument to be like,
I haven't broke down all the games but I like what Atlanta's done, man. I mean, good offensive line. They've got quarterback depth now. Bijan Robertson, I mean, he's going to be good. Second-year running back out of Texas.
That's their divisional playoff right there. Is the Tampa Bay Bucks against Atlanta, and Atlanta. Sometimes when they play in that playoff position, they tend to lose. Man, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because they play in a dome. I don't know if it's because they just don't have a winning mentality, or they're just okay with being in the playoffs. I don't know what it is. I don't know. But I think if anybody has an edge, it'll be Tampa Bay again this year. They just need a couple more players. There's just 1 or 2 more players, and I think they'll be all right.
Mayfield is just, I think maybe it was Canals, but I do love, I do really like that the head coach there, even though he's defensive minded, of Tampa Bay. But I like the staff of Atlanta. I mean, Pro Football, they're real high on their offensive line. Their defense got better last year. Right, they got 2 really good safeties. Jesse Bates was a big signing for them, and I'm not a big safety guy, but they got him over from Cincinnati last year, and now they got Grady Jarrett on one defense and Judon. And I actually thought that was a pretty good trade for New England because Judon is 32 years old. Happy birthday, Matthew Judon. His birthday's today.
Oh, nice.
His birthday's pretty close to my sister's, who's on the 19th. I have not forgot that. A lot of my family's birthdays are like 2 weeks apart, man. June and July and August. Go figure. We're all a bunch of Leos and stuff, Cancers. So getting a 3rd round pick for a guy 32, that's not bad. But also, this guy had 15 sacks 2 years ago, had 4 last year, Judon. Him and Gerard Mayo had words on the field in practice the other day. I think they're going to be a disaster, but who knows? I said that about last year, about Tampa last year, and it went in division. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, I mean,
about the Patriots.
The NFC South is crazy. It's like you think
anybody can win the South, even the Carolina Panthers with their upgrades.
We're gonna see.
They've got Canals now. I like that guy. I think he might be able to do something with Bryce Young.
Yeah, and I think it's gonna. They just need to get like a better receiving core. Thielen is already he's passed, and they just need to like get a couple more guys in there to juice it up, and I think they're gonna be okay. They're gonna be okay with time. I feel like they're like the Jaguars. They just need a couple more people, and then they'll
you feel like they're like a few players on both sides short, but
they're
going to improve though. I see a major jump offensively for them. They got Deontay Johnson this year. They've had some draft picks that they're looking at to bank, and this guy's a good coach. I've been reading some of his stuff here, and I've watched. Baker Mayfield had a career year last year, man.
It's the owner in the Carolinas that's put them in the
situation. He's another guy. You can't really trust him. You don't know what he's going to do. Tepper's from 1 minute to the next here. Next week, I'm going to give my whole 12-team playoff. I'm going to start this. I'm going to start studying for this thing on this. By the way, I'm really going to give a lot of love here to your Hurricanes under Cristobal. I got a feeling they're going to break out this year. They made the AP. They're they're 19th in the AP, and Florida State is 10th. I got to really study that, but I do think Cristobal, they're going to have a big breakout season.
Who do you think will have a better season, the Hurricanes or Florida State?
Right now, I'll probably say the Hurricanes, but they got to play at Florida August 31st. That's going to be one of the best games on Saturday, Labor Day weekend. Of course, that Clemson game may be the best game, Clemson and Georgia. But Miami at Florida, remember last year they had that crazy game where they blew that Georgia Tech game off of a brain cramp for not taking a knee?
Right.
And they lost 6 games last year. I don't know how they lost 6 games, man. It's like they fell off towards the end there. But they did beat Texas A&M. They should have beat Georgia Tech. They should have beat North Carolina. The Florida State game was a 7-point game, man. And that was at Florida State. That was last year. And now this year, Miami, for example, they got Florida State at home on October 26th down in Coral Gables. So that's, 17 starters, 17 out of 22 starters. And there's some hype on this Cameron Ward Jr. there, this transfer quarterback there. So I've got to look at him. You know how good a recruiter Cristobal is. He did really good with Oregon. Of course, Oregon's kind of recruiting itself right now because Dan Lanning, I told you that guy, Brett McMurphy, he thinks Oregon's the number 1 team in the country right now.
I think they always think they're number 1 in the country in the polls.
Well, they thought they were pretty good a few years ago, and then Georgia humbled them.
Listen. I mean, it's gotten to be it's not the SEC.
I mean,
but it was getting to be a better division, the Pac-12, before all this stuff happened. So
both the AP and coaches have got Georgia and Ohio State as 1 and 2.
Yeah,
have you heard about this Texas team? They've lost 2 running backs in a week for the whole season.
I don't think
I'm okay with Georgia, Ohio. I think Ohio State's really that hyped right now.
Yeah, I think it's
but I do
hype,
think Georgia's number 1, obviously.
I can't wait to start playing because I think Ohio State is just hype. I think they've lost too many players, and the ones that are going to replace them, I'm not sure if they'll be able to step up into fill the hole.
These they're real high on their
and I don't like
their transfers. The college experts.
Yeah, but I'm not too keen on the coach either, though. So I'm not. You can be the best player on the team, but if the game goes, if the game has to depend on coaching, I don't think Ohio State's gonna end up being.
Now they got Chip. We talked about this the other day. They've got Chip Kelly there running their offense.
Yeah, I mean,
he's going to tighten up that run. I'm not a Ohio State guy, but you got to. Chip Kelly running the offense. They're going to be running that rock, man. They got personnel up there.
Yeah, but the biggest problem with him is that it always takes a while for these schools to take to his.
You're saying it's going to take 2 seasons for all that to come together?
Yeah, and he'd probably be the coach before they even start winning. So,
man, I'll tell you,
I like Chip Kelly. I like what he does with the West Coast offense spread and all that. But I feel like that takes time for the school to get going, for the player to have the personnel. You from the team that has stayed at Ohio State, do you think? Or do you feel like those players will be able to run a Chip Kelly system?
Well, they've had the whole off season.
Bro.
Ryan Day has recruited really well, man. Look at the players he's putting in the NFL.
Yeah, I'm not talking about. I'm not talking about yesteryear. I'm talking about.
But look at who they keep bringing in, man.
Yeah, but
they're a factory. You got to give Ohio State their credit. They're a factory. They're putting out number 1 receivers every year.
But
look at Stroud.
Yeah, but what I'm saying to you is that they're not staying in Ohio. So how many? There are all these players that are rated so high.
Schedule now.
They're rated so high right now, but some of those kids didn't really.
And their
play more than
schedule's
3 games.
pretty easy. They got to play at Oregon. Don't get me wrong. I think they'll lose that game in October.
That's what I'm saying. I think they'll lose to Oregon too. But I don't. Ohio. I don't. It's just me, man. Because I was a big fan of Oregon when Chip Kelly was there.
Yeah.
It took them a while to get the system going, and it took them 3 or 4 quarterbacks to get them going, right? So
Yeah.
and it started with what's his name from they got drafted to the Lions, and then he didn't end up being a good quarterback in the NFL.
The one that went to Carolina?
No, the one that went to the Lions. What's his name?
From Ohio State?
No, from Oregon.
Joey Harrington. That was years ago.
Yeah, wasn't that the beginning of Chip Kelly's career there? Wasn't that?
Yeah. Okay. So Ohio State's got 16 starters coming back. They're playing Akron, Western Michigan. They got a bye week in September. Play Marshall at Michigan State. They play at Oregon October 12th.
Mm-hmm.
At Penn State on November 2nd. And they got Michigan at home this year. They got Indiana at home. They got Purdue at home. They play at Northwestern. This is a cakewalk, man. Other than at Oregon, now they got to play at Michigan State, and they've got a new coach. But do you really think the talent's going to be there? And there's a lot of hype on this Will Howard, this quarterback they've got, man.
I'm not sure that they'll be able to
with
play.
16 starters coming back.
They got Penn State right. That's going to
at Penn State. Okay, yeah, that they could possibly lose the Penn State. Now, if they lose both of them, they're going to fall like a Titanic. They'll probably beat Penn State.
You think they beat Penn State?
The Oregon game will be their big game, I think.
Again, they're bringing back 16 players, but they have to learn a new play. Like the Chip Kelly system is not an easy system to learn, bro. And they were not playing anything similar to that at Ohio State before that. I'm sorry, but it's a different game.
Trayvon Henderson will be back there running back. This guy's going to be money in this offense, man.
I hope so, but I'm not seeing it. I want to.
I got to dip into their transfer. I'm telling you, people have been talking about Ohio State.
Every year we hear about
Ohio State. As far as their transfers and everything.
People talk about Ohio State every year, bro.
Now, of course, Oregon's got 17 starters coming back, and they've got the transfer there, Dylan Gabriel. Oregon may be the better team. Don't get me wrong. And they got to play at Wisconsin, and Wisconsin's off a bye week. That they could lose that game. And of course, they got Ohio State at home a week after they play Michigan State at home. But Oregon's pretty loaded too. I mean, that's going to be the game of the year for these two teams, man. October 12th, man. You know.
Tell me, you think that Ohio State is?
Kyle calls the strike, so Ohio State's going to be rolling this year.
You think they're going to be undefeated?
They could. It's hard to go up there and beat Oregon up there. I mean, it's not impossible. That'll be a night game. We'll be talking about that one late. I mean, that game day will be there. I hope it's a 2:30 Central, 3:30 Eastern time. That's my favorite time to watch a college game. You know,
it's not going to be that. It's going to be an ESPN 8:00 game, and it's going to be on.
Yeah, and I'm going to have to record it and watch part of it on Sunday morning. Hey, are you? If you want to put in like a playoff or something next Thursday, let me know. We could talk about it. But I'm going to put mine in sometime next week, the whole thing. I mean, you don't have to do that if you don't want to, but you can put in your Final Four or you can just put in your championship game. You know?
Colorado.
Because Florida State plays next week, that week 0 game. They play like Boston College or something.
Why do you call it week 0? That's so.
Yeah, it's stupid. You know, they're probably playing another country. Remember last year, Oregon or Notre Dame played in like
Ireland.
Ireland or something.
Yeah, they went to Ireland.
Yeah. So, anything else you need to plug, man?
No, I'm just here trying to get everything situated, and man,
you are in Nashville, right?
I'm in Clarksville. I'm in
Clarksville. Yeah. Well, if you want to go out to eat Saturday, let me know, man. Just keep me updated, especially if you're in Nashville.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna hit you up. I'm gonna hit you up in a few minutes. So
Yeah, we'll discuss all that stuff and anything on What the Fork Ball. Did you have a show coming out?
I was gonna try to get somebody and they dipped on me, but
yeah.
I guess I'm gonna have to put something out before they start. It's getting too late because it's been like 10 weeks since I put the other one out. So, and and a lot of stuff has been actually going the way I was like saying that it would happen as well. So, I mean, hey, listen, like it's not a hard tell, but the problem is you become when you're a fan and you just wanna you have the high expectations, and it sometimes overtakes your perception of what can go on in the field. So.
Okay.
But, that's baseball, man. You got to play the game.
In baseball, you play extra innings. In football, it's sudden death. That's a comedian there. I can't remember his name now. You know what I'm talking. That old school comedian that died a few years ago. Really funny guy. Pickles probably knows. George Carlin. George Carlin.
Yeah.
Yeah. In baseball, when it rains, we don't play. In football, the struggle continues. Can't see the field. Rain, hail, snow, storm. Pickles do, yeah. The struggle continues in football.
That guy was a genius, man.
Well, I love that bit about baseball, football. All right, man. Well, hopefully I'll see you next week. Otherwise, on the program, we'll be one step closer to the college game and 2 or 3 weeks closer to the NFL game.
Yeah, man, it's almost here, and like there's a lot of buzz about the Titans. I've just been here for a couple of days, and everybody's talking. So it's good for the Titans, man.
Peace, Chad. Yeah. I'm a little disappointed the starters aren't going to play tomorrow or for the Titans, but we'll see Malik Willis get another start. I think Callahan, they had a good practice. They beat the crap out of each other all week between Seattle and
I mean, does any of this stuff matter until I feel like week 6 is week 1 for the NFL. That's the way.
When you got a young team, you really want to get as much as possible. But when you got a vet team, I'm surprised that Andy Reid has played his guys as much as he is, but he's going to play Mahomes some. Even in the preseason. So I guess it depends on the personality of your coach, man.
There's a lot of different things, but it just my thing is it's become the shield, this, and it's become so big, and then the games are just so petty. Like, come on.
Well, the most part of the preseason, it obviously sucks. But
preseason, no, man, it's big. It goes on.
You still want to see what these young players look like. That,
Oh, man.
But anyways. All right, folks. Have a good night. I'll see you next week otherwise. Thanks again, Carlos.
Great weekend, guys.
All right, brother. See you, man.